I stood at the edge of my old life, looking into the unknown, holding nothing but a quiet whisper in my heart. Everything around me seemed the same. Same job, same surroundings, same routine. But something within had changed. I had discovered a truth not in books, not in the noise of the world, but in the silence of my own being. And it was this: what you assume to be true of yourself and the world is exactly what you will live. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting back the images you carry in the theater of your imagination. There was one affirmation that became the key to everything. It wasn't a string of magic words or a chant repeated with frantic desperation. It was simple, clear, alive, and it was this: I already have it. It is mine now. That's all. Not a request, not a hope, not a someday, a declaration, a knowing, a surrender to the unseen reality already made manifest in the inner world. Each time I whispered it, not with strain, but with quiet confidence, I felt the weight of it settle into my being. I already have it. It is mine now. I said it as I walked, as I cooked, as I drifted to sleep. I said it when the facts screamed the opposite, when the bank account was low, when the calls didn't come, when the door seemed shut. Still I said it, because I knew that I was not reacting to the world. I was creating it. I became still, and within that stillness, I imagined what it would feel like if my desire were already fulfilled. Not just pictured it. I felt it. I sank into the satisfaction, the peace, the joy that would naturally arise if the thing I sought were already mine. I made that state more real than the facts before me. And from that state I spoke the affirmation: I already have it. It is mine now. There is a difference between wishing and assuming. Wishing keeps the thing far away, always out of reach. Assuming brings it close, makes it part of your being. I did not beg for change. I did not plead with the universe. I assumed. I claimed. I owned it in the quiet of my soul, and the world slowly, gently, inevitably rearranged itself to match that inner assumption. Money came, opportunities unfolded, relationships healed, doors opened, but none of these were the source. They were the reflection. The cause was invisible. The cause was the state I chose to dwell in. And every time I spoke that affirmation, it anchored me deeper into that state, even when doubt came. And it did. I returned to the affirmation. I already have it. It is mine now. I didn't argue with appearances. I didn't fight the evidence. I simply returned to the inner knowing, over and over again. Like planting a seed and trusting it to grow, I let the words settle into the soil of my consciousness. The secret is not in the words themselves, but in the feeling they evoke. To say I already have it and feel lack is to lie to yourself. But to say it and feel the reality of it, to move through your day with the quiet confidence of one who already possesses what they once longed for. This is the power. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So I became the one who already had it. I dressed like it, walked like it, spoke like it, laughed like it, prayed like it, not for show, but for truth. I entered the state of the wish fulfilled, and let that state govern my thoughts, my feelings, my reactions. I refused to be impressed by outer conditions. I stopped checking, stopped measuring, stopped needing signs. I realized that the inner reality was the only reality, that the unseen was more real than the seen, that what I imagined and felt consistently, persistently, would solidify itself into form no matter how long it took. I did not need to know how. The how is not your business. The bridge of incidents, the path from here to there, will unfold naturally. All that matters is the assumption, the inner claim, the unwavering acceptance that it is already yours. It didn't happen overnight, but it did happen. Every single thing I once longed for, I now live with. It wasn't struggle, it wasn't striving, it was surrender. Surrender to a deeper truth, that the world is shaped not by effort, but by inner alignment. I watch others now, still begging, still doubting, still chasing, and I want to whisper to them what I discovered. Assume it, feel it, speak it. Let that simple truth settle into your being. I already have it. It is mine now. Don't wait for the world to show you proof. Become the proof. Everything responds to your inner state. Every event, Every encounter, every outcome bends to the dominant assumption within you. And this one affirmation, spoken with faith, lived with conviction, transforms everything. So I keep saying it, not because I need to convince the world, but because it reminds me of who I am. And who I am already has it. I began to notice something astonishing. The more I repeated this affirmation, the more my reactions changed. Situations that used to trigger fear or doubt no longer moved me. I wasn't just repeating words, I was dwelling in a new dimension of being. The affirmation wasn't a spell, it was a bridge. Each time I said, I already have it, it is mine now, I stepped across that bridge, from lack to abundance, from delay to fulfillment, from wanting to having. I didn't try to force feelings, I simply let myself sink into them. I asked myself, how would I feel right now if I truly had this thing I've been desiring? And then I let that feeling guide me. I didn't chase after the outer world. I withdrew into my own inner sanctuary where everything was already mine. And in that sanctuary I spoke the words with soft certainty. I already have it, it is mine now. Then one phrase became my prayer, my anchor, my doorway. When bills came, I didn't flinch. I smiled and returned to the feeling of having more than enough. When rejection arrived, I didn't collapse. I returned to the feeling of being already chosen, already seen, already valued. Every time life presented something contrary, I didn't resist it. I simply reminded myself of what was already true in the invisible realm. This isn't about pretending. It's not about playing make-believe. It's about embodying the truth before it shows up in form. The outer world is slow, it's a shadow. It lags behind the inner world. But once the inner state is fixed, once it's truly accepted as real, the shadow must change. The affirmation became more than a sentence. It became a rhythm in my mind, a tone of life. As I moved through my days, I began to see the world differently. It was no longer a place I had to conquer or fix. It was a mirror reflecting my internal arrangement, and I had rearranged it at the root. Sometimes I would go on long walks, whispering it under my breath, not pleading, declaring, affirming from a place of authority. I already have it. It is mine now. The air felt different when I said it with feeling. The sky seemed to agree with me. The ground beneath my feet supported my words. Life itself began to collaborate with my assumption. It wasn't the world that changed first. It was me. The moment I believed it, the world began to shape itself. In agreement, I became deeply sensitive to the fact that consciousness is the only creative power. Not people, not effort, not chance, just consciousness. There is no outer cause. Everything flows from within. And when I stopped trying to manipulate the outer world and instead mastered my inner world, everything I had ever wanted started flowing to me. Not by effort, but by magnetic inevitability. People began to ask what I was doing differently. I smiled and told them, I changed my mind. That's all. I changed my inner dialogue. I stopped speaking from the place of waiting, hoping, trying. I started speaking from the place of being, having, knowing. Even when I couldn't see the full manifestation, I held fast to the inner image. If I wanted peace, I felt peace and said, I already have it. If I desired love, I embodied love and said, it is mine now. If I sought success, I moved as if I had already succeeded. This was not delusion, it was creation. Because everything that now exists began first in the unseen. You must understand, the world responds not to your words, but to your state. And this affirmation shifts your state, not if said robotically, but if said with feeling. If you dare to feel it, real, if you dare to persist in that assumption, the world must conform. It has no choice. I practiced this in silence. I didn't share it with many. The sacred things are best kept close. I watered my inner garden with repetition, with reverence. I didn't seek validation. I didn't need applause. I only needed to remain faithful to the feeling. Sometimes the world tested me. Sometimes circumstances shouted the opposite. But I had trained myself to hear a different voice. The voice of inner certainty, the whisper that said, it is already done. And each time I felt myself slipping into doubt, I returned to the foundation. I already have it. It is mine now. What I discovered is that this simple statement contains the whole pattern of manifestation. It cancels delay. It erases separation. It affirms unity between desire and possession. It places you in alignment with the version of yourself who already lives the life you seek. And the moment you become that version of yourself, internally, emotionally, spiritually, the outer world rushes to reflect it. People show up. Emails arrive. Unexpected turns unfold. But these are not coincidences. They are confirmations of the state you've been living in, long before the facts caught up. I began to treat this affirmation not as a means to an end, but as a lifestyle, a frequency, a truth. I no longer used it to get something. I used it to become someone, the kind of person who dwells in peace, in confidence, in fulfilled faith. I stopped waiting for evidence and started living as the evidence. Even in the darkest moments, I chose to remain in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's where your power is, not in trying to fix the external, but in anchoring into the internal truth. The truth that you are the only operant power in your world. The truth that life is responding to your inner conversations. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the life I desired. I touched it in my imagination. I smiled from that future self. I heard the words of congratulations, the laughter, the joy. I felt the outcome, not in the future but now. And in that feeling I said once more, I already have it. It is mine now. And slowly everything began to bend. The world tilted in my favor, not because I forced it, but because I aligned with it. I assumed it until it became reality. There were days when nothing seemed to move, but I reminded myself the seed doesn't doubt while underground. The roots are working, the process is unfolding, and I kept affirming not to make it happen, but because I knew it had already happened in the unseen. The affirmation isn't about repetition, it's about identity. It's about choosing the state from which you live, speak, and feel. Every time you say it, you're stepping into the new man, the new woman, the one who walks by inner vision and not by outer sight. I began to look back and realize that everything I used to beg for, better relationships, more freedom, deeper purpose, had become my normal, and I hadn't chased any of it. I became it in the silence. I dared to believe that the unseen is more real than the seen, and now the seen confirms the unseen. The world will try to distract you. It will present you with evidence of the opposite, but you must not waver. You must continue to feel the end, speak the end, live from the end, and you do it not with desperation, but with assurance. The affirmation is your tool, not to beg life, but to claim your inheritance, to step into the state where the thing already exists, where the doors are already open, where the answer has already come. And so I say it again, as I always have, I already have it. It is mine now, with gratitude, with peace, with certainty. Not because I'm trying to get something, but because I've already received it in the only place that matters with it. Let the world catch up. Let the form follow the feeling. Let the facts be rewritten by the truth you have assumed. Hold your state. Speak your word. Walk as if. Rest in knowing. And the world will bow to your conviction. The more I lived in the feeling that it was already mine, the less I was concerned with the outer sequence of events. The timing no longer bothered me. The path no longer confused me. I didn't need to trace the logic of how things would unfold. I simply stayed in the feeling. That was my only job. And in that feeling I continued to affirm. I already have it. It is mine now. Not from effort, but from rest. Not from panic, but from peace. Because once the seed is planted, you don't dig it up every day. You water it, you trust it, you expect it to rise. And so I waited not with anxiety, but with confidence. Not because I doubted, but because I knew. I knew that the law is certain, that what I accept as true within must become fact, without that the inner image, once fully impressed upon the subconscious, will express itself in ways the conscious mind cannot predict or control. And notice something else begin to change. People treated me differently. Not because I changed how I looked or spoke outwardly, but because I had changed inwardly. I was no longer projecting lack, fear, or need. I was radiating fulfillment, calm, and wholeness, and life responded in kind. You see, everything is mirrored. The world reflects back the music you play within, and the moment your inner melody shifts, the outer echo must follow. The moment I truly believed I had it, before one visible sign appeared, was the moment it was done. The manifestation is not in the arrival of the thing, but in the change of the assumption. Once I knew it to be mine, once I accepted that I already had it, the rest was inevitable. The unfolding became smooth, natural, even effortless. The pieces moved into place without my manipulation. The phone calls came, the opportunities appeared, the closed doors reopened without force. But I never focused on the details. I never begged for a specific outcome. I only assumed the end. The final feeling, the deep satisfaction of already having the thing desired, that became my dwelling place. That became my daily home. And each time I said, I already have it. It is mine now. I was renewing my passport to that inner world where all things are possible. I began to test this with everything small and great. I didn't separate one desire from another. I didn't say this is easy and that is hard. I treated them all the same. The Lord doesn't care whether you're asking for a cup of coffee or a castle. What matters is the assumption, the intensity of belief, the depth of conviction. So I assumed the having of each thing, whether it was peace in a moment of chaos or financial increase, when lack stared me in the face. And the law responded. Every time, because it must. There is no resistance in the law, only in the one using it. And once the resistance within me dissolved, once I stopped questioning, doubting, checking, the flow began, quietly, subtly at first, and then like a river released from its dam. Everything I had carried in faith began to pour into form. I remember standing in front of the very place I once dreamed of entering, not as a visitor, but as one who belonged. And I smiled, not because I was surprised, but because I knew I had already seen it. I had already lived it. I had walked through those halls in my imagination. I had felt the joy of it, the ease of it, the rightness of it long before I ever saw it in the physical. And I realized then that this is the only way anything ever comes to be. It is first imagined, then assumed, then felt, then it appears, not because it was willed into existence, but because it was welcomed into reality. I welcomed it with my belief. I opened the door with my affirmation. I watched others speak words from a place of doubt, hoping to convince themselves. But hope is not the same as faith. Hope waits. Faith knows. Hope reaches. Faith claims. And this affirmation is not a tool of the hopeful. It is the statement of the faithful. I already have it. It is mine now. I spoke it even when the evidence seemed to mock me. I whispered it when I had no idea how it could happen. I declared it when my senses gave me every reason to abandon it. And still I return to it. Because the world does not respond to what you see. It responds to what you believe, deeply, consistently, persistently. And I believed. I trained myself to believe. I disciplined my mind to return again and again to the end. Not the problem, not the question, not the delay, but the end. I lived from the outcome. I became the one who already had the answer, already had the breakthrough, already had the change. And in becoming that version of myself, internally, I began to notice the outer world bending itself to meet me. It had to. I was no longer chasing after results. I was drawing them in by the power of assumption. I no longer needed to see it to believe it. I believed it, and then I saw it. The affirmation reminded me every day of what was already true. In the unseen realm, it kept me centered. It kept me grounded. It kept me aligned with the reality I chose to inhabit. No longer was I a beggar in the world of form. I was a creator in the world of cause. Even now, I continue this practice, not because I am in need, but because I understand the power of inner direction. I know now that I do not respond to life. Life responds to me, and each affirmation is like casting a vote for the world I desire. Each repetition is a brick laid in the house of fulfilled dreams. There is no special secret. There is only consistency, only faith, only the willingness to persist in an assumption, even when the facts demand you surrender it. And this one phrase, this one line, I already have it. It is mine now, is enough to realign your entire state of being. It re-educates your emotions. It retrains your reactions. It resets your default mode of living. You stop reacting from fear. You stop speaking from lack. You stop living in the shadow of your desires. And instead you rise into the light of possession. You don't have to fight circumstances. You don't have to wrestle with reality. You only have to step into the feeling of the end and hold it, gently but firmly, until it becomes second nature, until it becomes automatic, until it becomes you. And when it becomes you, it must become your life, because you are always living out the contents of your consciousness. The world is your mirror. And what you hold inside, what you truly consistently affirm within, cannot help but be shown to you. This is why I never stopped saying it. Even when things were good, even when manifestations poured in, I kept speaking the words not because I was trying to get more, but because I had learned the way of being, the way of alignment, the way of dominion over the inner world. There is no one to convince but yourself. There is no place to go but inward. There is no power greater than your own assumption. And the moment you fully accept the reality of your desire, without resistance, without delay, it begins to move toward you. The affirmation is not the cause. It is the reminder. It is the steering wheel of consciousness. It keeps your thoughts, your emotions, your attention fixed on the end result. And the longer you stay in that place, the sooner your world will reflect it. So I dwell in it. I let it fill me. I let it teach me. I let it shape my world without struggle. And I know without doubt, without hesitation, that everything I could ever need or desire already exists in the infinite field within. And I claim it with the words I've come to live by. I already have it. It is mine now. And when you finally realize that all things exist, that every possibility is already written in the invisible, that there is nothing to earn, fight for, or chase, you begin to rest, truly rest. You wake up, not in anxiety about how the day will unfold, but in calm expectancy. You look upon the world, not as something separate from you, but as your reflection, your projection, your creation. And with that understanding, you speak again the words that reorient everything. I already have it. It is mine now. You may walk through your house and speak them, not loudly, not forcefully, but as one who knows, as one who no longer needs convincing. You speak them into your coffee, into your morning walk, into your quiet moments of solitude. And each time they go deeper. They soak into your subconscious. They press upon that fertile inner soil, where all seeds become trees, where all thoughts become things. And you'll begin to notice how differently you carry yourself. You'll feel more grounded, more certain, more assured, not because something outside changed, but because you changed. You moved from asking to receiving, from waiting to having, from longing to living. You will find yourself smiling in situations that once stressed you. You will begin to act from a higher place, not to manipulate outcomes, but because you have become someone who already owns the outcome. You will begin to notice how the old identity of lack, of waiting, of desperation no longer fits. Like an old coat that you've outgrown, it slips off you. The new version of you, the one who already has it, becomes your natural state. You stop wondering if things will happen. You stop needing signs. You stop needing to prove anything to anyone. You simply know. You are. And the world must reflect who you are being. Some people may not understand. They may call it delusion. They may ask why you aren't worried, why you aren't hustling, why you seem so calm. And you'll smile, not with arrogance, but with peace. Because you no longer draw your reality from the outer world. You have learned to live from the inside out. And from that place you speak with authority. I already have it. It is mine now. You understand that the delay is not punishment. It is alignment. It is gestation. It is the slow but certain movement of the unseen into the seen. And while others panic, you prepare. While others beg, you embody. While others wait, you walk. Not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. And there, in that sacred place of assumed fulfillment, things begin to unfold in ways your intellect could never have planned. The right person calls. The situation shifts. The door you thought was shut forever opens without a sound. But none of this surprises you, because you've already seen it. You've already walked through it in your inner world. You've touched it, tasted it, worn it, and now the outer simply mirrors the inner. Every time I return to this practice, I remember who I truly am. I am not a beggar of life's blessings. I am the source of them. I am the one who speaks from the end, who lives in the end, who breathes the air of already having. The affirmation is not magic in the traditional sense. It is alignment. It is assumption. It is the quiet declaration of someone who no longer doubts the creative power of their own consciousness. There were times I tried to skip this. Times I wanted shortcuts. But nothing else worked like this did. Not temporary motivation. Not external strategies. Only the inner shift held power. Only the inner conviction changed the world. And every time I tried to move ahead of the inner state, I felt friction, frustration, futility. But when I returned to the inner place, the dwelling place of the answer, the friction ceased, the confusion dissolved, the crooked places straightened themselves, and the phrase returned to my lips. I already have it. It is mine now. In that place, you stop checking the clock. You stop obsessing over how long it's taking. Time becomes irrelevant. When you're living from the end, you aren't waiting for something to come to you. You're waiting for the world to realize what you already know. You've moved in consciousness, and that is the real move. The rest is just the echo. People often ask how many times to repeat it, but it's not about the number, it's about the depth. You could say it 1,000 times and remain unchanged. Or you could say it once, from the deepest part of you, and shift your entire world. What matters is not your voice, but your vibration. Not your words, but your belief. And that belief must be felt as real. You must learn to accept without evidence, to feel without proof, to trust without needing signs. This is the walk of power. This is the path of the awakened. And once you take this path, you'll never want to return to the old way, because you'll see how powerless you once were, always reacting, always chasing, always needing permission from the world. But now you act from knowing. You move from inner reality. Even in stillness, there is movement, because once the assumption is planted, the law is set in motion. You don't have to keep checking. You don't have to force results. You just have to become the one who already has it, and stay there, day after day, thought after thought, feeling after feeling. That's how the shift becomes permanent. And when challenges arise, as they sometimes will, you no longer panic. You no longer say, "Why is this happening?" Instead, you smile inwardly and remember, this too must bend. This too is part of the unfolding. And you return to your center. You close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remind yourself of the truth. I already have it. It is mine now. You let that truth override appearances. You let it hold you steady. You let it become your emotional default. Over time, the practice becomes effortless, natural, second nature. You no longer need to convince yourself. It becomes who you are. The words may grow softer, but their power deepens. The feeling becomes so embedded that even in silence you radiate fulfillment. You carry the vibration of already having everywhere you go, and people will feel it. They'll respond to it without knowing why. Doors will open because your state opens them. Help will appear because your energy commands it. You'll no longer approach life as if something is missing. You'll no longer pray from desperation, visualize from need, or act from fear. You will simply live from wholeness, and from that wholeness, life will multiply your blessings. Not because you demanded them, but because you aligned with them. This is not theory. This is law. It is the eternal truth that governs all creation. You become it inwardly, and the world reflects it outwardly. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. And you become what you continually affirm as true. So I continue this practice not as a chore, but as a joy. Not as a ritual, but as a reminder. I remind myself, even on the best days, that everything I desire is already mine in the invisible. I don't need to hold on tightly. I don't need to strive. I just need to assume it, feel it, live it, and trust the law to express it. And I will say it again, not for effect, but from the deepest place of knowing I already have it. It is mine now. So now the choice is yours. Will you continue to live from the outer world, letting circumstances dictate your state? Or will you return to your inner sanctuary, the place where all things begin, where all things are already complete? You don't need more time, more effort, or more proof. You need only one thing: the decision to assume the end and live from it. Say it not to get something, but because it is already true in your world, within. Say it not with strain, but with certainty. Let the words become your atmosphere, your identity, your reality. I already have it. It is mine now. And watch quietly, faithfully, unwaveringly as the world rises to match your assumption. Everything begins with imagination. Before any event unfolds in the outer world, it must first be born in the unseen realm of consciousness. There is no power outside of your awareness. What you assume to be true in the deep stillness of your being hardens into fact. The lottery, the numbers, the millions, they are not random. They are responses. They are shadows of the inner movement of your own consciousness. To manifest the Mega Millions jackpot, you must begin not with effort, but with knowing. You do not beg, plead, or wish. You assume that you are already the winner. You assume that the numbers have aligned in your favor. You assume that your name is now whispered in rooms of celebration and awe. You assume the feeling of wealth, security, and overflowing abundance, not as something to come, but as something that already is. Close your eyes and withdraw from the clamor of the senses. Let the outer world fade into silence. Feel the weight of the check in your hand. Feel the cool air-conditioned office where they announce the winner. See the congratulations, hear the applause, feel the inner thrill of knowing it is you. Smell the ink on the freshly printed document. See the string of winning numbers, and know they are yours. Dwell in that scene. Do not touch it with effort or strain. Simply rest in it. Relax into its truth. You are not trying to change the world. You are changing your concept of self. You are not a seeker. You are the one who has found. You are not trying to become rich. You are rich. There is a vast difference between effort and assumption. Effort implies separation. Assumption knows union. The prize is not distant. It is you. You are the embodiment of the miracle you seek. Your awareness of being the winner is the only cause. The numbers are not the secret. The odds are not the barrier. The beliefs of others are not your concern. There is no competition in the infinite. What you accept as true in imagination becomes your experience in time. The only question is, can you believe it? Can you believe against all appearances that you already possess it? Can you walk through the world with the quiet dignity of the one who already knows? Each day, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let your conversations reflect your new identity. Do not speak as one who hopes, but as one who has received. If you would not speak of worry, do not dwell in it now. If you would not fear bills or expenses with 100 million in the bank, then fear them no longer. You must live now as the one who has already won, not outwardly in spending, but inwardly in consciousness. Let your reactions, your self-talk, your inner commentary be born from wealth. This is not fantasy. This is creation. Creation is finished. All states exist now. There is a version of you that has already won. There is a version of you celebrating, donating, building, blessing, living without limit. The only task is to occupy that state, to inhabit it so fully that it becomes your dwelling place. When you fall asleep, do not lay down as one in lack, but as one in triumph. Drift into sleep from the mansion of fulfilled desire. Hear the laughter of those who rejoice with you. Feel the abundance in your veins. Your senses will cry out that it is not yet real. Let them cry. They are not the truth. They reflect the past. Your imagination creates the future. Your inner acceptance creates the outer confirmation. When you stand unmoved in the state of the wish fulfilled, the world bends to reflect your assumption. You are not convincing the universe. There is no external force to persuade. You are convincing yourself. And when you do, the universe obeys. Your inner movement brings about outer miracles. Think not of how or when. Those are not your concern. Live in the end. Live in the joy. Live in the certainty that what you feel deeply and consistently within must take shape. Without. Imagine what you would do. Imagine who you would bless. Imagine the lifestyle, the freedom, the generosity, the legacy, and then go beyond imagining it. As someday, feel it as now. Feel it as yours. Let every breath carry the silent decree. I have won, it is done. I am that. And if doubts come, and they will, do not resist them. Simply return to the state. Return to the scene. Return to the inner knowing. The outer world is a delayed reflection. Persist in the unseen, and the seen must follow. Let the world say what it will. Let logic and reason argue against you. Let statistics and probability scream their defiance. Your assumption does not need permission. Your assumption is law. Walk through this world as the one who already holds the ticket. Let your posture change. Let your tone shift. Let your energy speak before your words. The power is not in the numbers. The power is not in the drawing. The power is in the consciousness that commands them. You are not hoping to win. You are remembering that you already have. You are not reaching for wealth. You are awakening to it. The prize is not outside of you. It is the reflection of who you have dared to become within. And when it comes, and it shall come as surely as night turns to morning, do not be surprised. Simply smile, knowing you moved the unseen and the seen obeyed. The world is your mirror, and you are the cause. Every time you return to the state, you draw nearer, not because something is traveling toward you, but because your awareness is aligning with that version of yourself where it is already so. You are not building the bridge, you are discovering that it was always there. You walk across it within a conviction. The world reshuffles itself, not by effort, not by toil, but by inner selection. You selected the end, and the means bend themselves to your will. Do not confuse persistence with strain. There is no struggle in the assumption that you are already the one you desire to be. There is only rest, only quiet knowing. Let the assumption become your resting place. It is not something to force, but something to return to gently, again and again, until it becomes your natural dwelling. Like a well-worn path in the mind, the more you walk it, the more real it becomes, until the boundary between the imagined and the actual dissolves completely, and what you once assumed becomes the world you walk in. Speak in alignment with the state. Let no word fall from your lips that denies what you have claimed within. If you have won, would you fear tomorrow? Would you complain of what is missing? Would you stress over the unseen? No. You would rest in the joy of it. You would live from a new posture. So speak as the one who knows. Let your language reflect your inner wealth, not in arrogance but in calm assurance. You owe no explanation for the quiet certainty that dwells in your soul. To others, it may seem foolish. To some, even delusional. But you are not manifesting for their belief. You are manifesting from yours. You are planting seeds in the unseen and tending to them not with doubt, but with expectation. The harvest is certain. It is the law. Whatever you accept as true becomes flesh. So accept with finality. Accept without apology. Accept with the confidence of one who knows they cannot be denied. When you sit alone and close your eyes, do not beg for a miracle. Become the miracle. Envision the numbers on the screen, matching those you already hold in your heart. Feel the rush, not of disbelief, but of confirmation. Let it wash over you again and again. Feel the conversations that follow, the impact you'll make, the dreams you'll fulfill. Let them live inside you now. This is not fantasy. This is the true creative act. This is the divine power that shaped all things, now flowing through your consciousness. Do not wait for permission. The only gatekeeper is your own belief. Do not wait for signs. You are the sign. The moment you fully accept your new identity, the world must conform. It has no choice. It is compelled by your state of being. When you change the root, the fruit must follow. When you change your concept of self, your circumstances realign themselves. Many speak of chance, of luck, of fortune. But these are only words used by those who do not yet understand. There is no chance, only assumption. What you are conscious of being is what you attract. And not just attract, it is what you become. You are not pulling something toward you from the outside. You are awakening to what already exists within. You are not playing a game of probability. You are stepping into certainty. The moment you truly occupy the state of the winner, the game is already done. It may take time to outpicture, but it is already sealed in consciousness. And consciousness is the only reality. All else is smoke and shadow. The world may delay, but it cannot deny. Let your imagination be your most sacred tool. It is the workshop of creation. Use it not to escape the world, but to remake it. Each time you imagine the scene vividly, each time you feel the reality of the wish fulfilled, you press your claim more deeply into the subconscious. In the subconscious, being without question or hesitation brings it to pass. It always says yes. Your job is only to impress, to imagine, to assume. How would you rise in the morning if you were the jackpot winner? Would you worry about what the day holds? Or would you move with a peaceful dominion? How would you walk into the grocery store? How would you respond to delays, to unexpected events? Practice that feeling now. Wear it like a garment, not to trick the world, but to mold your inner world until the outer must yield. There is no outer event that holds dominion over you. No economy, no statistic, no rule of man. You move from a higher place, you speak from the throne of consciousness. The only law that governs your experience is the law of assumption. What you persist in imagining becomes your world. If the voice of doubt arises, do not suppress it. Transcend it. Speak to it with authority. That may have been my past, but it is not my truth. Each time you reaffirm the new state, you weaken the hold of the old. The old self may rise and argue, but its voice has no power unless you agree with it. Withdraw your consent, withdraw your attention, and redirect it. Gently, persistently, to the state you choose. It does not matter how long it takes. Time is the servant of belief. You do not rush the harvest by digging up the seed. You nurture it. You water it, you give thanks in advance for the crop already growing, though it has not yet broken through the soil. Faith is knowing that what you've imagined must come to pass. It cannot fail unless you forsake it. Let your inner conversations reflect the new state. Let them be filled with gratitude, confidence, clarity. Hear others congratulating you. Hear them saying, I always knew you had it in you. Hear your own voice saying, of course, it was inevitable. Not with pride, but with understanding. The one who knows the law is never surprised by its fulfillment. You may be tempted to look for signs. You may watch the news, check the ticket, count the days. But you are not dependent on those. They are the echo, not the cause. The cause is within. When you feel the joy now, when you rest in the fulfillment now, the outer has no choice but to mirror that state. It must. The law cannot fail. If you were to never speak of it to another soul, but simply assume it daily in silence, in stillness, in the privacy of your own mind, it would still come to pass. Because the law does not require witnesses. It requires only faith. Faith not in effort, but in being. You do not earn the prize. You become the one who already holds it. And the becoming is an act of imagination. The moment you say, I am, you set the wheels in motion. Say, I am the winner. Say, I am blessed beyond measure. Say, I am the proof of the miraculous. Say it not with your lips alone, but with your heart, with your emotions, with the whole of your being, and return to it, over and over, until no voice within argues against it, until it feels as natural as breathing. Then and only then will the world reflect it. When others doubt, remain still. When the outer seems unchanged, remain faithful. You are the only operant power. The world rearranges itself for the one who knows who they are. And who are you? You are the winner. You are the one they will speak of. You are the fulfilled prophecy. You are the proof that assumption becomes reality. Carry yourself accordingly. In your silence, in your routine, in your inner speech, let the truth echo. I have already won. I am already chosen. I am already in possession. There is no need to grasp, only to rest in the knowing. For what is truly accepted within must show itself without, and when it does, it will come in such a way that you will say, of course, it could not have been otherwise. You are never waiting on the world. You are only waiting on the full acceptance of your own identity. And once that acceptance is complete, the world must yield. The path will open. The ticket will be yours. The winning numbers will match. And it will feel not like a surprise, but like a return. A return to what you have always known in the deep of your being to be true. Imagination is the womb of reality. Let your desires be conceived there, nurtured there, matured there. There is no outer condition you must fulfill. Only the inner knowing that it is already so. What you see with the inner eye is more powerful than all the facts in the world. And once seen, once felt, once accepted, the outer cannot help but bow to it. You are the scriptwriter and the actor, the director and the stage. And the scene you rehearse most often becomes the life you live. So rehearse joy, rehearse wealth, rehearse generosity, and freedom and laughter and impact. Rehearse winning, not as a distant hope, but as a present truth. And then walk through the world, not looking for signs, but knowing that the sign is already within you. You have already won. Now assume it, live from it, and watch the world conform. There is no virtue in waiting. There is no power in postponing your claim. The moment you dare to say within yourself, "It is done," you step into a realm where delay loses its grip. The world as you have known it begins to melt before your inner conviction, and though your senses may cry out for evidence, you give them none but the stillness of your knowing. For the senses do not lead, they follow. They are not the master, but the servant of your imagination. Each day, and even more so, each night, bring your awareness to that unseen place where all things are possible. You must withdraw from the facts of life and rest in the truth of spirit. There, in that quiet field of consciousness, you plant the seed of identity, not of desire but of fulfillment, not of reaching but of resting, not of trying but of being. The harvest is not in the effort, the harvest is in the assumption. What would you feel if you no longer had to ask, when will it happen? What if the answer was now? What if all waiting ceased in a single moment of awareness? You must learn to let go of time as a barrier. You must rise above the ticking of the clock and move in the timeless dimension of imagination. There you are not becoming, you are. You are the winner. You are the millionaire. You are the testimony, and the world bows to that inner decree. You do not need to convince anyone else. This is not about others believing in you. It is not their belief that shapes your world. It is yours. Your family may not understand. Your friends may dismiss it. But that matters not at all. You are not accountable to their sight. You are responsible only for your own inner eye, your own inner dialogue, your own unwavering certainty. For the one who believes within, even if the whole world stands opposed, shall still walk in the fruit of their assumption. You need not know how the money will come. The rational mind will always demand the how. It will ask for strategy, for logic, for evidence. But you must learn to quiet that voice. Let it speak and let it pass like wind through the trees. It is not your enemy, but it is not your master either. The how is never your work. Your only work is to dwell in the state, to dwell fully, richly, boldly in the feeling that the money is already yours, that the winning numbers have been read, that your name has been called, that your life from this moment forward is never the same. Do not measure progress by appearances. Appearances are the echo of old beliefs. They are not the substance. The moment you look to the outer for confirmation, you are stepping away from your power. The world reflects, it does not lead. And when you understand this, you stop chasing, you stop doubting, and you begin to reign. You reign in the quiet chambers of your heart. You reign in your private moments of imagination. You reign in stillness, not in noise. Do not entertain the thought, what if it doesn't happen? That is not your thought. That is the old self trying to resurrect itself. You are under no obligation to think anything that diminishes your truth. The mind will try to present what it thinks is realistic, but you are not bound by realism. You are bound by law, and the law says, according to your assumption, be it done unto you, not according to luck, not according to chance, not according to statistics, according to your assumption. So assume the win. Assume it so vividly, so completely, that nothing can shake you, not delay, not a rejection, not even a so-called, because even if a drawing comes and goes and your name is not called, you do not flinch, you do not sway. You say within yourself, that was not my moment. But the moment is coming, and it must come, because I have assumed it. That quiet conviction will draw the event to you. For nothing resists the one who will not be moved. You do not manifest by intensity, you manifest by persistence, not the fire of effort, but the quiet flame of faith. It is not about how hard you visualize, it is not about how long you affirm, it is about how completely you accept the new state as your identity. And when you do, when you truly do, the world softens, the obstacles dissolve, the impossible becomes ordinary. You must fall in love with the state, not for what it will bring you, but for how it feels now. You must fall in love with the version of yourself that walks with confidence, that breathes deeply, that lives without lack. You must become one with that identity. Speak from it, act from it, think from it. Let it be the hidden spring from which your every movement flows. The world may look unchanged, but you are not waiting for the world to change. You are simply allowing it to catch up to your assumption, and it will. With divine precision, it will. Every event, Every meeting, every seeming coincidence will conspire to bring your inner world into outer form. And when it happens, you will not need to ask, how did this come to pass? You will already know. You will know that the world is yourself pushed out, that the jackpot was not out there waiting for you, was in you all along, waiting for your assumption. Let your days be filled with thanksgiving, not begging, not striving, not hoping, thanksgiving. For what you already hold in your heart, give thanks that the numbers are aligned. Give thanks that your account is overflowing. Give thanks that your desires have been heard and answered in the only way they ever could be, by your inner consent. You are not playing with wishes. You are working with law, and law does not falter. Law does not forget. Law does not discriminate. It simply returns to each what they believe to be true. So believe now, not in theory, not in potential, but in fact. Believe now that it is yours, that you are rich, that you are blessed, that you are favored, that you are the winner. Imagine walking into a room and knowing that every eye turns to you with admiration, not because you boast, but because your energy speaks louder than your words. Imagine making decisions not from fear, but from freedom. Imagine how many lives you will change, how many dreams you will fund, how many hearts you will lift, not just your own, but those of many. Imagine it deeply. Imagine it regularly. Imagine it lovingly. The world has taught you to be realistic, to be cautious, to protect yourself from disappointment. But this is not the way of the creative spirit. The creative spirit dares. The creative spirit dares. The creative spirit lives in the end, and you must live in the end. The end where it is done, where your story is complete, where your bank is full, where your life is a living example of what is possible for the one who assumes you are not unworthy, you are not too late, you are not disqualified. That voice is not your truth. That voice is a relic of a forgotten identity. You are chosen the moment you choose yourself. You are worthy the moment you stop questioning it. You are abundant the moment you say within yourself, I am. Do not dilute your desire. Let it be as grand as it is. Let the dream stretch beyond logic. You are not here to manifest pennies when you were meant for treasure. You are not here to scrape by when you were meant to overflow. This world is not limited. It is abundant beyond measure, and your portion is not withheld. It is waiting for your permission to flow. Permission does not mean work. It means acceptance. Acceptance of what you already are. The winner, the prosperous one, the fulfilled one, the blessed one. You wear that title not with pride, but with reverence, because you understand now that the power to claim is the power to create. You walk into each day now, not wondering if it will happen, but wondering how beautifully it will unfold. You listen not for signs of lack, but for echoes of fulfillment. You move not from need, but from wholeness, because you have assumed the highest state, and the highest state brings the highest outcome. So let the world do what it does. Let the opinions come and go. Let the facts shout and scatter. You remain still. You remain sure. You remain rooted in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You carry within you a secret, a power, a knowing that what you have imagined is already real, that what you have felt is already fact, and that what you have assumed must be born in time, for it was conceived in spirit. And spirit never fails. You must return again and again to this inner temple of knowing, for it is from here that all things flow. The world outside may beckon you with distractions, with logic, with reminders of what it calls reality, but you are not concerned with the appearances of the moment. You are loyal only to the reality you have chosen within. Every moment you persist in that loyalty. You impress it deeper upon the subconscious. You impress it so deeply that one day, seemingly out of nowhere, the world reshapes itself and brings forth what you once only dared to imagine. There is a sacred discipline in this work, not a striving but a devotion, a willingness to let go of what was in order to live fully in what is. If you feel yourself slipping into doubt, do not panic, return. Return to the end. Return to the scene you have created. Return to the feeling. Breathe it in. Let it saturate your being. Let it become the only truth you acknowledge. For in the unseen lies the origin of the seen, and when you master the unseen, you control the seen effortlessly. You do not convince the world. You do not need its approval, its permission, or its applause. Your assumption is the only law that matters. The moment you fully accept something as true, it begins to take shape. Your inner conviction molds the clay of circumstance. You are not the victim of fate, you are the artist, the one who paints with belief and sculpts with thought. Every small act of imagination, every flash of vision, every breath of certainty builds upon the last. You may not see it yet, but something is forming. You are laying the foundation brick by invisible brick, and then in a moment you could not predict, the invisible becomes visible. The world must conform, not because you begged, not because you forced, but because you knew. There is nothing in your past that disqualifies you. There is no mistake too great, no limitation too strong. All things are redeemable through assumption. You do not carry your past forward unless you choose to. You are not your past. You are your present assumption. And in that, you are always free to begin again. In this very moment, you can choose a new state. You can say, I am already the winner, and everything before this fades into the shadows of the unreal. You were not born to be ordinary. You were not placed here to simply survive. You came to awaken, to remember your divine power. You came to create as the infinite creates, through the power of thought, through the authority of feeling, through the command of assumption. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. It is the humility of one who knows they are an extension of something far greater than the sea. And because of that, all things are possible. So what do you see when you close your eyes? What world do you dwell in when the outer world is silent? That is your true home. That is your point of creation. Let that world be rich. Let it be full. Let it be joyous. Let it be lavish, beyond reason. And do not apologize for the abundance you dare to feel. You are not taking from another. You are receiving what you have already given to yourself in thought. When the time of manifestation arrives, you will not feel surprise. You will feel recognition. You will feel the ease of alignment. You will say, of course, this is what I knew was mine. It will feel natural. It will feel familiar. So you have rehearsed it so many times in imagination that the event itself will feel like a memory fulfilled. You must become so saturated with the end that the middle does not trouble you. You must become so aligned with the state of fulfillment that the absence of evidence does not disturb you. You must become so inwardly secure that no delay, no outer condition, no failed attempt shakes you. Because you are no longer living by the facts of the world. You are living by the truth of your assumption. And what is this assumption? It is not merely a hope or a wish. It is the knowing that what you imagine, that what you feel inwardly will be clothed in form. That what you have accepted as your self-concept must become your experience. So go ahead, accept it. Accept that you are wealthy. Accept that you are chosen. Accept that you are the one who walks with favor, with abundance, with answered prayer. Let your assumption be bold. Let it be audacious. Do not ask whether it is reasonable. Ask only if it is desired. And if it is, then it is yours. You are not here to conform to the world. You are here to shape it, not by force, but by being. You do not need to fix the world. You need only to assume the end and watch the world rearrange. When fear arises, when worry whispers its lies, do not fight it. Replace it. Replace it with the image of victory. Replace it with the feeling of winning. Replace it with the quiet confidence that everything is unfolding in your favor. You need not fight what you no longer believe in. Simply turn from it. Withdraw your attention and return to the state of fulfillment. That state will cast out all fear. You may have days when doubt seems loud. You may have moments when the world feels heavy. But remember, those are the echoes of the old self. They are not you. You are the new man, the new woman, the new being. The one who lives in the end. The one who chooses belief over evidence. Feeling over fact, vision over fear. Each morning, as your eyes open, assume the feeling of the one who has already received. Walk in the memory of the miracle. Let your heart be light. Let your words be filled with joy. Let your actions spring from a place of overflow. You are not trying to get your living from the knowing that you already have. And if you catch yourself slipping into the old story, do not condemn yourself. Simply shift. Shift from asking to thanking, from worrying to celebrating, from hoping to knowing. This is the power you hold. This is the authority you carry. The outer world has no choice but to yield when you stand firmly in the truth of your inner world. You are not merely imagining events. You are assuming identity. And identity precedes all creation. Who you are in consciousness will always determine what you experience in life. So become the one who wins. Not someday. Now. Be her now. Be him now. Let the posture of your soul declare, I am that I am. Do not try to predict how the manifestation will come. Let that be none of your concern. Just know that it will. It may come in a sudden rush, or it may come through a series of quiet unfoldings, but it will come. And when it does, it will seem so natural that you will wonder how it could have been any other way. That is the mark of true manifestation. It arrives clothed in normalcy, but born from the supernatural. Continue to saturate your days with vision, continue to return to the state, continue to persist in the inner knowing. The power does not lie in the outer event, it lies in the inner assumption. You have already been given all things. You need only to claim them. You need only to walk as though it were already true. This is the great secret. You are always becoming what you assume, not by effort, not by striving, but by identification. And the one who assumes the state of the winner shall by law experience the win. Not because they were lucky, not because they were chosen by chance, but because they knew long before the world agreed that it was already so. And so it is. Every breath you take while abiding in the end is a declaration to the unseen realms that you trust in the invisible. You are no longer pleading for your desire. You are communing with it. You speak to it as one speaks to a loyal friend. You walk with it in silence. You lie down with it in peace. And as you do, your consciousness becomes magnetic. The world around you, though still appearing ordinary, is shifting, realigning, conforming, not because of external force, but because of internal truth. This is not about becoming worthy of winning. You do not need to be more righteous, more humble, or more qualified. You already are. The moment you assume the state, worthiness is inherent. It is not about what you have done or what you have yet to do. It is about who you have dared to become in consciousness. And when you become the one who has, all that matches that identity must rush into your experience, with no hesitation, no resistance. Imagination is not fantasy. It is the creative power itself, the only creative force there is. Every invention, every fortune, every revolution began first as a thought sustained, a vision accepted, a feeling embraced. This same law that governs the sculptor's hand and the builder's dream governs your world. So you must make it your holy work to imagine wisely, to feel deeply and consistently the truth of your inner world, no matter how silent the outer landscape appears. No lottery number, no machine, no event is more powerful than your belief. Even in a game that seems random to the world, to the one who understands law, there is no randomness, there is only reflection. The numbers align, not by chance, but because consciousness draws to itself that which it has assumed to be its own. So you must not say, I hope to win, but rather it is already mine. Feel the delight of the moment. Not someday now. Let it light your spirit. Let it echo in your body. The check is written. The balance is increased. The account is full. And you are walking through life with the ease of one who has inherited the infinite. Your head is lifted. Your shoulders are free. Your presence is radiant. Not because the world gave you something, but because you remembered who you are. You assumed the posture of the blessed, and so you became the blessing. In the stillness of night, when no one is watching and no one is speaking, that is when the real work begins. That is when you enter the sacred silence of imagination. That is when you sit not with empty hands, but with the fullness of a vision that is so alive, so complete, that the external world has no choice but to catch up. Let your nights be filled with visions of wealth, not just in money, but in joy, in generosity, in freedom. Do not force your will upon life. You do not manifest by demand, but by surrendering to the reality of the end. You do not command from fear. You assume from love. And when love fills your vision, fear has no place. When peace becomes your normal state, chaos cannot abide. And when you walk in the identity of the fulfilled, lack cannot survive. There is no power in efforting, in striving, in trying to make things happen. The moment you try, you say within yourself that you do not yet have. But when you rest, when you trust, when you lean fully into the reality of the end, you affirm that you already possess, and in this resting lies the secret. Not passivity, but inner alignment. Not inaction, but inspired movement from the felt knowing that the outcome is secure. Let your imagination be bold, Let your declarations be sure, not whispered in hesitation, but spoken in certainty. Speak over your life as one who has seen the promise fulfilled. Speak over your finances as one who no longer doubts their flow. Speak over every detail of your future as if it were already written, because it is in you. And let your giving be great. For one who knows they have already received has no fear of giving. You give not to get, you give because you have. Your generosity becomes effortless. Your kindness becomes your currency. Your abundance becomes your natural state, and you walk through the world as one who needs nothing and therefore attracts everything. You must walk differently. You must speak differently. You must think not as one who is hoping, but as one who is remembering. You are remembering the truth of your inheritance. You are remembering the fullness of your potential. You are remembering the promise that was placed within you before you took form. And now, by assumption, you are calling it forth. The one who assumes their success cannot be denied, not because the world agrees, but because the law must obey. And what is this law? It is simple and unwavering. What you believe to be true of yourself will be made manifest. So dare to believe extravagantly. Dare to believe without condition. Dare to believe without compromise. When others question, you bless them. When others doubt, you remain still. You do not argue. You do not explain. For there is no need. Your belief is not up for debate. Your assumption is sacred. It is yours. It is the secret garden of your being, and from it springs all that the world will one day call a miracle, but you will simply call remembrance. You do not need to ask again. You do not need to plead. You only need to persist in the feeding of the end. That is the only prayer required. The inward knowing sustained without wavering that it is done, not in the distant future, but in the now. All time collapses in imagination. All distance is illusion. The moment you assume, you receive, and the rest is simply the unfolding. Even when the world seems unchanged, you are unmoved. For the appearance of stillness is not the absence of movement. The seed beneath the ground does not shout when it sprouts. The promise does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it comes on a whisper, a nudge, a breeze, and yet it comes. You are not chasing a dream. You are embodying a truth. The truth that you are already whole. The truth that you are already rich. The truth that you are already chosen. And when you walk in that truth, the dream finds you. You no longer search. You are found. You no longer knock, the door opens. So keep returning to the end. Let it become your favorite dwelling place. Let it become so familiar, so comfortable, so real, that anything less feels foreign. Let it become your new normal, and soon it will be. What you normalize in consciousness, you materialize in form. What you repeatedly feel, you eventually see. Let this be the quiet confidence that steadies your every step, that you do not need to force reality to bend to your will. You need only to surrender fully to the version of yourself that has already received, to see life through their eyes, to speak from their perspective, to live from their peace. And as you do, the world will change around you. Not because you fought to change it, but because you changed. And the outer is always the echo of the inner. The jackpot is not an event, it is a reflection. It is not a lucky break, it is the mirror of a self that finally believed without condition. So walk on, not in struggle but in certainty, not in waiting but in fulfillment. Let each breath be a confirmation. Let each heartbeat be a celebration. Let each moment be soaked with the richness of your assumption. For what you have assumed, you have become. And what you have become must find expression. And so it continues. Therefore, let your inner world remain unwavering. Stand firm in the feeding of the wish fulfilled. Carry yourself not as one who is seeking, but as one who has found. Know that the moment you assumed the state, the wheels of creation began to turn. The outer must bend to match the inner, and your world cannot help but reflect the truth you have chosen to believe. So persist. Persist with quiet confidence. Persist with joy. Persist with the dignity of one who already holds the treasure. For the law is faithful, and what you have claimed in consciousness is already yours. Everything you desire already exists, not in some far-off realm, not in a distant future, but now, in this very moment, the fullness of your wish fulfilled lies within you, waiting not to be earned, not to be chased, but to be assumed. You have been taught to believe in time as a barrier. You've been told you must wait, toil, strive, and prove yourself before your dream can become real. But the truth is altogether different. Time is not your master. Time is not your obstacle. Time is only a shadow cast by the state you occupy. Change your state, and you change the time. Occupy the feeling of your desire fulfilled, and time bends to accommodate your inner conviction. You are not here to become something. You are here to realize what you already are. The moment you assume a thing to be true of yourself, the world begins to rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. Life reflects back to you what you believe to be true of you, not what you beg for, not what you hope for, but what you inwardly accept as real. So then, the great secret is this: act as if this time is already yours, not as a performance, not as wishful thinking, but in deep inner conviction. You are not pretending, you are claiming. You are not lying to yourself. You are aligning with the truth that exists beyond appearances. Your desire is not something outside of you, dangling like a carrot, luring you forward through delay and frustration. No. Your desire is a mirror of the deeper self, calling you to recognize what has always been within you. It is your soul saying, "This is already mine." Dare to act from the end, not toward it, from it. Begin to walk, speak, think, and feel from the place of having already received. Let that inner vision govern your behavior. Let it inform your choices. Let it color your imagination. When you go to sleep at night, fall into the arms of your fulfilled desire. Make your bed in the feeling of it being done. This is the law, that consciousness is the only reality, and the state you occupy inwardly is the state you will express outwardly. It cannot fail. You do not need to struggle to make it so. You need only assume it, feel it, and live as though it were already true. That assumption, persisted in, will harden into fact. The world is your mirror. It does not change until you do. Do not wait for proof. Do not wait for signs. Become the sign. Become the evidence of your own unseen reality. Others may not understand it. They may say you are foolish, but the inner man knows a deeper truth. What you accept as true of yourself becomes your experience. All transformation begins in the imagination. All creation begins in the unseen. Do not despise the invisible. It is the womb of all that is made manifest. The outer world is but an echo. The inner world is the source. So move inward. Claim the time is already yours, not with force, but with quiet authority. Not with desperation, but with thanksgiving. If you desire healing, act from the state of wholeness. If you desire love, dwell in the feeling of being already loved. If you desire abundance, carry yourself with the calm confidence of one who lacks nothing. These are not tricks. They are laws. Laws of consciousness that no man can override. You will find that when you change your conception of yourself, your world rearranges itself to match. It must. There is no outer resistance that can withstand the inner change. The moment you fully accept that your time is now, that this moment belongs to you, the invisible forces of life begin to organize themselves around your inner knowing. Nothing stands between you and your fulfillment except your belief in separation. Collapse that illusion. There is no gap, there is no waiting room. There is only the eternal now. And in that now, you can be, do, and have all that you dare to assume. So walk in it, speak from it, rest in it. Let your imagination be your sanctuary, and your feeling be the secret signal that your prayer is answered. When the feeling is yours, the thing must come. It cannot do otherwise. The law is perfect. The law is just. The law is impersonal, and it will never deny the man who dares to live as though the time is already his. This is the way. The inner movement precedes the outer motion. The change within creates the change without. And what you claim in consciousness with feeling becomes your world. Feel it now. That is the great key. Feel now what you once postponed for a future day. There is no power in postponement. There is no creation in delay. The creative act is always a present tense event. It happens now, or it does not happen at all. So you must move beyond waiting. Waiting is the great thief of life. To wait is to declare with your being that what you desire is separate from you. And what you declare with your being, life must echo. The only thing standing between you and the thing you long for is the belief that it is not already yours. And that belief, that subtle conviction, creates a barrier, not in the outer world, but in your perception. And as you perceive, so you live. For the world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. It arises from you and it returns to you, always bearing the fruit of your assumptions. The invitation is not to try harder. It is not to fight against the present or to struggle towards some distant arrival. The invitation is to sink into the reality of your wish fulfilled, to saturate your inner world with the feeling of being the one who already possesses. That is the great secret, to walk as though you already are. Not as a trick to get the thing, but because in the higher order of things it is already so. All things exist. Every possibility is already written in the eternal script of consciousness. Your work is not to create the thing. Your work is to select it, to assume it, and to dwell in it. And you select it not with effort, but with attention. You turn your attention away from the seen and toward the unseen. You fix your gaze on the invisible reality you choose to make visible. Do you see now why imagination is everything? Imagination is the gateway. It is the place where you commune with the unseen world. When you imagine something with feeling, when you enter it with the fullness of your being, you are not pretending. You are creating. You are summoning into form the contents of your inner knowing. You are opening a channel from the invisible into the visible. And that which you hold persistently in imagination, you will one day hold in your hand. You have been taught to believe only in what you can see. But what you can see is always the echo of what has been felt and assumed. It is never the cause. It is the consequence. And when you try to change the echo without changing the sound, you labor in vain. Go back to the source. Go back to the place within you where the thing first lives. Go back to the feeling. Go back to the knowing. That is where the power is. To act as if this time is already yours is to say with your whole being, I know who I am. I know what belongs to me. I know what I have become. And when that knowing is complete, when there is no space in you for doubt, then the outer world must bend to accommodate that inner certainty. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. You are aligning yourself with the truth that the deeper self already holds. You may ask, but how do I persist when nothing around me reflects this new assumption? And I say to you, persist by turning within. Persist by valuing your inner world more than the outer. Persist by remembering that all appearances are temporary. The state you dwell in inwardly will outpicture itself in due season. If you do not shift, if you do not waver, if you hold the assumption with love and certainty and conviction, your work is to live in the end. Live in the final act of the play. Do not concern yourself with the scenes that come before it. Do not try to manipulate the path. The path will unfold as it must, based on the end you have claimed. All that you need will be added unto you. Not because you chased it, but because you chose it. You made it real in yourself, and life had no choice but to reflect that choice. This is the divine gift given to all, the power to assume, and by assuming to create, you are always creating. The only question is, are you creating deliberately or by default? Are you assuming states that bless and uplift, or are you reacting to appearances and thereby recreating the same unwanted patterns? When you begin to assume from the place of fulfillment, everything changes. Your speech changes, your posture changes, your decisions change. You are no longer grasping, you are giving. You are no longer begging, you are blessing. You become a vessel of the state you have chosen, and through you it begins to move into the world of form. Others may not see it yet, but you see it. Others may question your confidence, but you rest in the truth of what you have assumed. And the longer you dwell in the state, the more solid it becomes. The world in time must mirror the state you inhabit. This is not superstition, this is the law of life. This is the secret hidden in plain sight, seen by those who are willing to believe in the unseen. So, when you find yourself tempted to return to old beliefs, when you feel the pull of doubt or the pressure of delay, return to the inner sanctuary, return to the end. Remind yourself again, this is already mine. This time is already mine. It has been given to me, not because I earned it, but because I claimed it, and let that claim be your reality. Let it be the rock you stand upon when all else is shifting. You do not need to explain your vision to anyone. You do not need to justify your assumptions. What you inwardly accept will become outwardly seen, And in that seeing, others will understand. Until then, walk quietly in your knowing. Live from the end with grace and assurance. Carry the tone, the energy, the rhythm of your fulfilled desire, and let that be the song you sing through all your days. You are not here to chase time. You are here to command it. And you command it not with force, but with faith. With the quiet power of one who knows the unseen governs the seen. You command time by stepping into the moment you choose to occupy, not the one the world offers you, but the one your heart reveals. That is the real now, the now of your choosing. Do not concern yourself with how or when. That is not your work. Your only concern is who. Who are you now? Who do you choose to be? What state are you willing to embody? Because when you answer that question, not with your mouth but with your life, the rest takes care of itself. The way is shown, the doors open, the people appear, the opportunities arise. You are not the victim of circumstance. You are the creator of experience. The moment you claim that power, everything begins to shift. But it must begin with your willingness to act as if truly, deeply, and consistently, as if this time, this life, this desire is already yours. Not one day, not someday. Now is the appointed time. Now is the day of manifestation. You carry the power to summon any future by the assumption you hold now. So stand firm in it, clothe yourself in it, speak from it, trust it even when the evidence has not yet arrived, because it will arrive. It cannot do otherwise. And when it does, it will feel like the most natural thing in the world, because you will have already lived it within. It will not surprise you. It will not overwhelm you. It will greet you like an old friend, because you have met it before in your dreams, in your still moments, in the sanctuary of your imagination. And now it stands before you, made flesh by your faith. This is the true nature of creation. This is the power of assumption. And this is the invitation to act as if this time is already yours, not to deceive yourself, but to reveal yourself. For all that you desire to be, you already are. All that you seek to have, you already possess. All that you dream to experience, you already contain. Let that be your secret. Let that be your source. And from that inner place, let life unfold, not by force, but by fulfillment. And as you walk in that inner fulfillment, you begin to see the signs, not because they convince you of the truth, but because they reflect it. The signs follow those who believe, not the other way around. They are confirmations of a choice already made, of a reality already claimed, of a state already occupied. Your work is never to look for signs, but to live in the assumption that brings them. They will come not to make the thing real, but because you already made it real within. There will be moments when the world seems to contradict your vision. Do not be moved. The contradiction is only a test of your persistence, a shadow of the old self attempting to regain its hold. But you are no longer that person. You have shifted. You have chosen the new. And now the remnants of the past must dissolve. They may echo, but they have no substance. They may appear, but they no longer define you. Hold to your vision, and the shadows will vanish in the light of your unwavering assumption. The world is malleable. It is not fixed, not final, not set in stone. It is soft to the touch of imagination. It responds to the slightest shift in your internal posture. One moment of true conviction, one instant of complete acceptance can move mountains in the unseen realm. That is why you must not underestimate your own power. You are not small. You are not waiting to be chosen. You have already been chosen by your own desire, which is the voice of your deeper self, saying, "This is what I am." Do not silence that voice with logic. Do not bury that voice with fear. Let it rise. Let it speak. Let it guide you. It does not need to make sense to the rational mind. It only needs to be felt in the heart and accepted as true. That is enough. That is more than enough. When you feel it deeply and live it boldly, the unseen begins to take form around you. What was once only an idea becomes a path, an event, a manifestation. Your feeling is the key. Not emotion, not excitement, but feeling, that deep, quiet, inner knowing. When you feel from the state of the wish fulfilled, you impress it upon the infinite substance of life. And life cannot help but respond. It must respond. It is law. As within, so without. What you claim within, the outer world must yield to. The reason many falter is not that the law fails, but that they drift. They entertain the state for a moment, then let it go. They assume it in stillness, but abandon it in movement. But the law works for the persistent. the consistent, the unwavering. You cannot serve two states and expect only one to manifest. You must choose. Choose the state of the fulfilled desire and abide there, live there, think from it, speak from it, act from it, until it becomes your new dwelling place. And it will become natural. At first it may feel like a stretch. You may feel as though you are pretending, but persist, and the feeling will grow roots. The new state will become more familiar than the old. You will begin to forget that you ever doubted. That is when the shift is complete. Not when the thing shows up, but when the feeling of having it becomes second nature. You will no longer ask, when will it come? You will no longer seek confirmation. You will simply know. And that knowing will carry you, sustain you, guide you. The outer world will begin to change, but the change will feel like recognition, not surprise. You will say, of course, this is what I have known all along. Do not rush this process. You are not in a race. You are in a revelation. Life is not withholding anything from you. It is only waiting for you to claim it inwardly. The moment you do, the machinery of manifestation begins to turn. Invisible forces align. Paths you could never have predicted begin to open. People appear. Resources arrive. Opportunities unfold. Not because you struggled for them, but because you assumed the state in which they naturally exist. Everything is drawn to its likeness. The state you occupy determines what you attract. If you dwell in lack, more lack comes. If you dwell in fulfillment, fulfillment multiplies. This is not positive thinking. It is law. It is the mirror principle of creation. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. So become now what you would be if your desire were fulfilled. That is the key. That is the doorway. When you live from the end, you do not question the middle. You let it unfold. You let life orchestrate the details while you remain rooted in the outcome. The middle may seem chaotic at times, but do not judge it. It is merely the rearrangement of the old to make room for the new. Trust it. Remain faithful to your inner state, and the outer will harmonize with it. You are not meant to figure out the how. That belongs to a higher order. Your only task is to remain in the knowing, in the being, in the state of possession. Feel it and allow the world to follow. Let it surprise you. Let it astonish you. Let it reflect your inner certainty in ways more beautiful than you could have imagined. You are the beginning of every change in your life. Not the circumstances, not the people, not the systems. Your assumption is the seed, and your persistence is the soil in which it grows. Water it with attention. Feed it with gratitude, guard it with love, and do not pluck it up to see if it's growing. Trust that it is. Trust the process. Every desire carries its own appointed hour. Every assumption matures in its own perfect time. Do not grow weary in the waiting. The waiting is only for the outer world to catch up with what is already real in the inner. You have already claimed it. You have already received it. Now walk in it. Move as though the fullness is yours. That movement, that decision, that faith is the magnet of all manifestation. And as you continue in this practice, you will begin to see that nothing is truly denied you, only delayed by your own disbelief. But once belief becomes stable, once you take root in the feeling of already having, you realize that life is not your opponent. It is your servant. It waits for your instruction, given not with words, but with assumption. What you assume is true, life performs as fact. It is all done unto you as you believe. This is the golden thread running through every sacred teaching, every inspired word, every miraculous life. Not that one must strive, but that one must believe. Not believe in effort, but in identity. Believe in the truth that what you are within, you become without. That what you claim in consciousness, you embody in experience. You are never too late. You are never too far. You are always one assumption away from the life you long to live. Let the world call it foolish. It does not matter. For when the manifestation comes, the world will call it a miracle, that you will know better. You will know that it was simply law, simply alignment. Simply the natural consequence of assuming the truth of your own fulfilled desire. And so the invitation remains, moment by moment. Live from the end. Act as if, not in pretense, but in presence. Enter the state, and let it govern all your thoughts, all your reactions, all your responses. Let it speak through you. walk through you, live through you, you will find that in time, the state becomes the reality, the inner becomes the outer, and what once was only a dream becomes the very fabric of your life. And when it does, you will not marvel as one struck with awe, but as one who recognizes something already known deep within. For you have lived this moment before, not in physical form, but in spirit, in imagination, in the quiet chambers of your inner world. You rehearsed it, you felt it, you embraced it, and so when it arrives, it bears no mystery. It comes clothed in familiarity, for it has always belonged to you. This is the power that rests in your hands, not to wish, but to know, not to hope, but to assume. For the wish, while sincere, implies separation. The hope, though noble, implies distance. But assumption implies possession, and possession, when held inwardly with feeling, becomes the blueprint for your reality. It shapes the unseen and molds the seen. It crafts the path before you, not with force, but with faith. You must learn to walk, not by appearances, but by inner conviction. This is not to deny what the eyes show you, but to refuse their authority over what you choose to be. Your senses will always reflect the state you consistently occupy. So when the outer seems to resist the inner, persist. Do not argue with the mirror. Change the face, and the reflection must follow. Change the state, and the world must conform. This is not mere fantasy. It is the true nature of reality. Reality is pliable, obedient and responsive to the consciousness that commands it. And command does not mean struggle. It means acceptance. To accept the end as real is the greatest act of creative power. You say within yourself, "It is finished," and then live as though that were true. That living is your act of faith. That posture is your demonstration of dominion. You need not be loud about it. You need not announce your assumption to the world. It is a quiet thing, a holy thing, a sacred knowing that does not beg to be validated. Let others believe as they choose. Let the world speak its opinions. Your truth is not subject to their approval. Your inner reality is yours alone to tend, to nourish, to embody. The fruit will speak for itself in due time. And that time is not measured by clocks or calendars, but by your readiness. When you are fully aligned inwardly with the thing desired, it appears outwardly in perfect season. This is why you must never force the outer to comply. Your only work is the inner alignment, the inward agreement, the assumption of the state of being. When you are it, you see it, and not a moment before. Do not be discouraged by delay. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. The space between assumption and manifestation is the gestation period. It is sacred. It is the soil in which your new life takes root. Treat it with reverence. Guard it with care. Continue to water the vision, even when nothing seems to be sprouting. For something is happening beneath the surface. Something is always happening when you dwell in the end. And sometimes the path toward manifestation will strip away what no longer belongs. It may remove the false, the limited, the fear-based structures you once leaned upon. Let them fall, let the shedding happen. You cannot enter the new dressed in the garments of the old. You must wear the feeling of your fulfilled desire like a robe. And sometimes that means laying aside what once felt safe. But trust this, what you lose in the transition is never a loss. It is a clearing, a holy undoing to make way for what you have chosen. There will be moments when doubt whispers, when the mind tries to convince you that what you see is what is. Do not listen. Go deeper. Return to the felt truth of your inner world. Speak again within yourself, the declaration of the end. I am now the one who has, and let that phrase be a fire in your bones. Let it burn away every contrary voice. Let it be the song you hum beneath your breath, when the world around you seems slow to catch up. And as you continue in this faith, something miraculous begins to occur. The desire loses its tension. The yearning dissolves. Why? Because you no longer feel separate from it. You have become it. And when you become it, you need not crave it. The craving ends where identity begins. This is the peace that surpasses understanding. The peace of the one who has entered the state and made it home. You must treat imagination as the first reality. Not as play, not as fantasy, but as the birthplace of all form. Nothing shows up in your life that did not first visit you in feeling, in image, in assumption. So honor those inner impressions. Take seriously the visions that stir your soul. They are not random. They are invitations. Invitations to embody a greater version of yourself. And once you accept, the world begins to reshape itself around your new stance. The universe is always saying yes to you. It does not argue, it does not withhold, it does not judge, it reflects, it mirrors, it amplifies what you believe to be true of yourself and your life. So the question is never whether life will give you what you desire. The question is whether you will assume that you already have it. Assumption is not arrogance. It is agreement. You are agreeing with the truth that lives beneath the surface of all things, that you are more than what the senses show, that your imagination is not idle, it is sacred. It is the creative faculty through which the unseen becomes seen. When you inhabit the state of the wish fulfilled, you are using your imagination not to escape reality, but to shape it. Let this understanding settle into your bones. Every state is a doorway. When you assume a state, you enter a world, a timeline, an experience, a dimension of life that corresponds with it. All things exist now, but you will only encounter what you have inwardly agreed to. So if you want a different life, you must assume a different state, not for a moment, but as a way of being. And if you falter, if you find yourself slipping back into old reactions, do not condemn yourself. Simply return. Return to the end. Return to the knowing. Return to the vision. Again and again. Return. This is the practice. This is the refinement. Not perfection, but persistence. The seed of your desire will bloom, not by force, but by faithfulness. There is nothing you cannot be, do, or have, if you will not. But assume that it is already so. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The now you choose inwardly is the future you meet outward. Choose well. Choose often. Choose boldly. For every time you assume the end, you become the author of a new chapter. You turn the page of your own story and step into a scene where your highest joy is already written. Read it with your heart, feel it with your soul, live it with your life, and the world will rise to meet you there. So I say to you now, stand firm in your assumption. Live not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. Move through the world with the quiet confidence of one who has already received. Let your inner world be the foundation, the sanctuary, the guiding star. And as you dwell faithfully in the end, the outer must bow to the inner. Life must conform, the world must yield. For you are not waiting on the promise, you are the fulfillment of it. It is already yours. Walk in it.